Welcome to the show. Welcome to the JC Foundation Trust show. Today we're going to begin to throw some light on this triad and triangle consisting of truth, trust, and commitment. And we hopefully going to see a harmony emerging from between these three factors, and the reason why, in my opinion, they go together alongside other principles that we've looked at in prior podcasts. So, first of all, truth. We all know that there isn't one single unitary definition of truth, and so we are always approximating and getting nearer and nearer to it. It being an absolute is not easy to define and limit, and so we have various definitions that attempt just that, one of which mentions two kinds of truths: objective and subjective truth. Now, objective truth is quite easy to handle and deal with, because objective truth is there for everyone to see. It can be seen at the naked eye by observers, and it is stable all the time, and therefore it is reliable and consistent. And some would even go as far as say that it is independent of the observer. The truth will always be there. And an example of that would be a fact. A fact that can be easily demonstrated time and time again. A fact that is valid every time, consistent and reliable, and therefore scientific, and a truth that is proven scientifically is a higher truth. An example comes to mind, and that is of boiling water. We know that water boils at 100 degrees, and therefore the truth that we can say with certainty is that at 100 degrees we can be certain, we can predict that water will change its state from liquid to vapor. This will be independent of an observer, this will be valid every time, and this will be consistent over time. Every time we repeat the experiment, we will obtain the same results. And therefore we have an objective truth. Now, when we consider subjective truths, and there are many, then we have introduced the element of subjects, i.e. we have introduced the observer, and conjecture and opinion, and therefore subjective truths can be said to be relative and dependent upon the viewpoint and the observer, and no truths are the same, and some truths are more true than the others, and so on and so forth. In this instance, to obtain a semblant of confirmation, a semblant of agreement for this subjective truth or truths to become a reality, we then call upon more than one observer, and if the multiple observers all agree on the validity, the temporal validity, i.e. the validity at the time, by consensus and by norm forming of that truth is then accepted as reality. Now, subjective truth is lesser in its value than objective truth because it is not as consistent over time. Should we be able to muster at a later time a number of judges who are of a different opinion, consistent with the norms of that particular time, they might then arrive at a different truth, a different subjective truth that will be there for that particular society. And hence we see values, principles, even beliefs and laws that do change over time with the needs, with the demands of a particular society. Now, if we are able to anchor subjective truths into the more fundamental objective certainties, then we can be safe in the knowledge that no matter where the wind blows, even 2 or 3 generations down the line, we can always come back to those eternal, self-evident, timeless, objective truths and axioms that do not change with time, that are always valid and consistent. Now, further research is required in this area to ascertain the need for society to embrace subjective truths that have an element of fakery into them, that have a lie built into them, and to find out if that is part of human nature, and to find out if that is what, say, separates humanity from artificial intelligence. Because some would say that unless we program into the machine the ability to deceive, then the machine will be as true objectively as the day it was made. Now, this is an interesting area of research, and it will throw some further light onto what we call opinion and what we call fact, what we call authentic and what we call fake. And we all know that deep down each one of us strives for authenticity and congruence within ourselves, and we especially demand those qualities from others. Even though at times we forgive ourselves for not being congruent and not being true, we do not forgive others if they are less than congruent or true with us, which takes us to the next area, and that is of trust. We will trust others if we feel them to be true and consistent over time. We will trust others with our innermost secrets if we feel them to be true and consistent over time. First of all, we will trust others with small things. We will trust them perhaps with a few pounds or a few dollars. But if we find that they are worthy of our trust, that they repay trust with truth, then we will trust them with more, with hundreds of pounds or dollars, thousands and millions. And so with relationships, we will disclose a little bit of ourselves to others and see how they deal with that deposit. If they deal with it safely and put it in a safety deposit and keep it and keep our secrets, we will trust them with more, to the point where if someone is worthy of our trust all the time, we will trust them with everything, with our secrets, even with our livelihood, and even with our lives. Trust is very important, and trust and truth tend to go together. We can lie to people some of the time, but not all of the time, because people will trust those they believe to be truthful. Those who lie constantly are not believed even when they tell the truth. And therefore, trust is very important. Without trust, we cannot build a business. Without trust, we cannot exchange goods and services. Without trust, there is no money, because money is a bond and an exchange. And without trust, there is certainly no commitment. What is commitment? Commitment is originally a Latin word. And if we look at the root of the word commitment, we will find that it begins with co, meaning with, and it has at its root the word mettre, meaning action. So it is a co-action that is undertaken by more than one actor. It is a cooperative endeavour, and we know that commitment means obligation, means to be bound, means action in the present and the future, and it means a solid undertaking that whatever came previously will be honoured. And the harmony can be found here when we realise that in order to have a solid commitment from a committee of individuals, those twin pillars